In the last 8 years, the Nigerian government has put in extra effort to change the story of high malnutrition and undernutrition, reduce child mortality rates, and has also introduced innovative strategies to achieve better results. Nigeria has shown great commitment to eradicating hunger and malnutrition among her citizens in order to lay a strong foundation for improved standard of living for citizens and socio-economic development of the nation. The National Policy on Food and Nutrition provides the framework for addressing the problems of food and nutrition insecurity at all levels in Nigeria. This policy was made possible through the advocacy and commitment of the Vice-President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, in galvanizing all stakeholders to come together and ensure a strong framework for the achievement of Nigeria's nutrition goals. The Vice President, who also chairs the National Council on Nutrition, the highest decision-making body on nutrition and food systems in the country, is probably the secret to most of the success stories on nutrition in Nigeria.
In fact, we do know that up to 45% of our child mortality, under 5 mortality, is directly or remotely related to nutritional status. So therefore, sufficiency of food, quality of food, also safety of food are very important. They are very important parts that the ministry propagates through the primary health care department and through the Department of Family Health. It includes not only just adequacy, but the correct combination that includes micronutrients, vitamins, fats, carbohydrates, and protein that should be sufficient not just for the child, but for the lactating mother and the pregnant woman, because the status of nutrition begins already during development in the womb and goes on to end of attainment of adulthood.
The Scaling Up Nutrition in Nigeria, SUNN Nigeria, is another critical group that helps track success and influences progress in the nutrition space. This global network of groups aligns with already established indigenous networks to actualize a global standard for nutrition in the country.
And so one of the key things SUNN has done is collaborated with government in development of policies and plans on nutrition. And it's even going ahead with government to ensure that this policy document is implemented. Also, through the being membership of the Technical Advisory Group to the National Council on Nutrition, brought a lot of positive influence, making nutrition now a key development issue, such that each succeeding government should prioritize nutrition as a key developmental issue and also make budgetary appropriations for nutrition. Again, also is the creation, the President of Nigeria's approval to create departments of nutrition and create budget lines across different line MDAs, health being inclusive, agriculture, Ministry of Budget and National Planning, NPHC, there are several of them, that this department is going to be created, and that's going to improve delivery, efficiency, and effectiveness in ensuring we achieve nutrition for all, which specifically will ensure SDG 3, which is well-being for all, because the linkage between nutrition and health cannot be underestimated.
One of the major tools in this policy is a multi-sectoral plan of action for food and nutrition, which helps the different sectors that are involved in this government's drive to make Nigeria a nutrition-secured nation know and understand their roles. The Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning anchors this multi-sectoral plan as a coordinating government agency, while other ministries like Health, Agriculture, Women Affairs, Education, Youth and Sports and Labor support very strongly. One of the key drivers for the success of these government programs is scaling them down to sub-national levels. The states play very pivotal roles to achieving not just paper success but empirical and visible accomplishments.
Following the adoption of nutrition as one of the priorities. So the governors make commitments along certain areas of nutrition so that the governors can be held accountable for those commitments. And we introduce what we call a scorecard. And that scorecard essentially tried some areas of government, areas of governance in terms of coordination of nutrition activities at the states, budgeting for nutrition, passage of law for 6-month maternity leaves. So if you look at those areas that I mentioned, in all the 36 states, we have what we call the State Committee on Food and Nutrition. Prior to that, they were just not very functional. But now in all the 36 states, the State Committee on Food and Nutrition are very functional.
This program has the buy-in of the Development Partners Group, a body made up of international and donor agencies that have joined the government to pursue an agenda of advancing nutrition and eradicating hunger and malnutrition through their joint efforts and investment in strategic areas.
In terms of our achievements, I'll say one for this year at least. Every child should receive vitamin A supplementation at least twice a year. We have about 34 million children in Nigeria, and during the first few months of the year, the first half of the year, we were able to supplement, I believe, close to 30 million children with vitamin A. We hope that we will have the same collaboration with the government and other partners now in November to ensure that the same number is supplemented with vitamin A, which helps to save lives.
Yesterday, I worked with government of Nigeria in terms of providing investment and innovations and technical support to towards achieving Nigerian nutrition objectives. We had invested resources in humanitarian assistance response all across the multi-sectoral portfolio, both nutrition-specific and nutrition-sensitive interventions. USAID has supported Nigeria. We do not work as a parallel government in Nigeria, but we work with the government and other stakeholders, which we call implementing partners, and even other donors, to ensure that people of Nigeria, especially the most vulnerable populations, have access, to better services and also access to be able to fulfill their inbuilt potentials.
There's a lot of food processing in Nigeria happening. We have, companies making flour, sugar, vegetable oils, tomato paste, pasta. So many things. Transformation of gari and some of our local food. So, the private sector has been providing just what people eat at a very basic level. I think another level of how the private sector has been supporting nutrition has been on the element of fortification. So fortifying basic foods with micronutrients. This is really important because as our diets have moved away from the traditional foods that we eat, cassava, millet, etc., to more processed foods like bread, it's really important that people are getting the nutrition that they need in the flour and the other flour byproducts that the food processors make. And so it's important that in salt we have iodine, in flour we have vitamin B and A, and in sugar that we have all these different nutrients that make the food good for us. And that's something the private sector has also been doing.
The private sector, academia, and even civil society groups under the auspices of civil society scaling up nutrition in Nigeria have all worked assiduously to support the Nigerian government in its drive to making the country a nutrition-secured nation.
One of the major things we had to do is to hold government accountable. And so through several activities, working with government, we'll try to promote transparency and accountability in nutrition funding in the country. Part of some of the things we do is around, annual budget analysis around nutrition to check if it's increasing or reducing. And also we track budgets on an annual basis or quarterly basis to check if, there's funding for nutrition, what they are used for. And basically, they were effectively utilized to implement some of the interventions that are captured in the plan. I will also say the advocacy we do is also geared towards supporting the government to implement what's in the plan. As we know, domestic funding is, when it comes to government and their work, there are competing priorities. One of the ways to get funding for nutrition is to engage policymakers and key executives in government to prioritize nutrition funding.
The journey has only just begun. It is a very long one, but continuous commitment and ensuring that nutrition is adequately mainstreamed in policies and strategies by the key stakeholders will definitely lead to success.